Hello again, everybody, and welcome to this Channel 11 Sports Special. Tonight it's Big 9 Conference Boys High School Basketball, coming to you from Bob McNish Gym on the beautiful campus of Mayo Senior High School. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jeff Leaders, and joining me tonight is Mitch Anthony. And for this Big 9 Conference Boys High School arch-rival matchup between the Mayo Spartans and the visiting John Marshall Rockets. And Mitch, how do you think this game matches up tonight?
Well, in all inner-city rivalries, and this one is no exception to the rule, you can kind of throw out the team's records when you come into a game like this because, in the words of Mark Kiefer, a rivalry like this neutralizes the talent. And so I think Mayo is better than their record on paper, and John Marshall is capable of having a down night, as we've seen this year. So I think we're in for a good ball game on the Mayo court.
Now, the first meeting between these two teams, it saw John Marshall beating Mayo 81-58 at John Marshall, and it was a 4-minute spurt when John Marshall scored approximately 30 points to Mayo's 2, 4, or 6 right in there. That really boosted them to that, lead and that victory.
Yeah, in my interview tonight with Mark Kiefer, the very first key he mentioned to me that they've got to avoid tonight is those kind of runs, because a 3-minute or 4-minute spurt like you just mentioned will put you out of a ball game very quick, especially when you're on the opponent's court. And so he's very concerned that they avoid runs on defense tonight and don't let John Marshall get into a quick running game.
Now, overall, John Marshall's 14-3. They're 10-2 in the Big 9 Conference and currently in first place. Mayo is 7-10 overall, 5-6 in the Big 9 Conference, and they're pretty much perched to try to dethrone this #1 team in John Marshall.
Yeah, they'd like to, and really John Marshall holds its destiny in its own hands tonight. They could get a little help from the Austin Packers tomorrow night, who play, and Austin is tough. They beat JM. They're playing Faribault tomorrow night, and so if they beat Faribault, that helps John Marshall. But John Marshall holds its destiny in its own hands tonight. They can go and do something about winning the Big 9 Conference Championship, and I think it'd be a feather in the cap of Mayo, and they can taste it right now. There's nothing like they'd like to do more tonight than take that opportunity away from John Marshall and put them in a precarious position for the Big 9 title.
Great. So we'll be back with the starting lineups in just a minute. Okay. All right, welcome back to Bob McNish Gym. Both teams have warmed up, and Mayo's just taking their final shots here as they continue to warm. You said you talked to the coaches, Mitch, before the game. What were a few of the keys for JM tonight?
Well, Coach Jeff Wells, first of all, said they've got to get the ball inside. I think you remember the last meeting at the JM gym where they were having a tough time getting the ball inside to Brent Solheim, and he had probably his worst shooting night of the year. I don't know if our fans are aware, but Brent Solheim's hitting 61% of his field goals this year. That night he was well under 50%, so I'd say the rest of the season the guy's shooting 65-70%. So that's key number one. Key number two, they've got to watch their fouls early in the game. They tend to come out, get a little sloppy, foul a little bit in the first and second quarter, and Coach Wells wants them to watch that, because what it does is it gives the team opportunities at the free throw lines he doesn't want them to have. And finally, they've got to rebound. They've got to get other people on the boards besides Solheim. They're a small team, relatively speaking. They've got to get on the boards.
Great. All right, we're going to have the national anthem here played by, and it's not Tom Grand Prix, the normal Mayo director of the pep band. It's someone else, so fortunately we don't have that name for you, but she will direct the Mayo pep band here in the national anthem. Slight delay here as we're waiting for somebody to get set at the band there, and
looks like a trombonist puckering up there, Jeff.
All the players and the cheerleaders for both squads are at attention. The Mayo mascot, even with the hand over the heart down there. And the fans are all standing. Mitch Anthony at attention.
Basketball game between the John Marshall Rockets and the Mayo Spartans. We extend a special welcome to our guests from John Marshall. If you now please rise and join the Mayo Spartan Band under the direction of Valerie McCook and the singing of our national anthem.
All right, Valerie McCook was the director of the Mayo Pep Band tonight. And now the starting lineups for both teams. Number 55, Troy Brown for John Marshall. Number 21, Rich Hebel for the Spartans. Number 22, Jess Smith for the Rockets. Number 45, John Doctor for the Spartans. Number 40, Matt Butler for the Rockets. Number 55, Craig Roberts for the Spartans. Number 50, Mark Woodrich for the Rockets. Number 51, Rex Smith for the Spartans. And in the center, number 54, Brent Solheim for the Rockets. And number 25, Michael Rustovich for the Mayo Spartans. So the keys for the Spartans tonight to try to overcome the big loss to John Marshall and their record currently.
Well, before I get into that, I want to say I just love this tradition of the Mayo players going out and giving high fives to all the young kids out there, Jeff. It's a great thing for the fans out here, the young fans, the budding basketball players to be, huh?
Keeps the crowd coming.
And one of the keys for Mayo is that none of those kids have butter on their hands when they go give them a high five on the way through. And other than that, Mark Kiefer mentioned 3 things to me, actually 4. First of all, avoid the runs. You mentioned it earlier tonight that run, what did you say, a 30-4 run in about 5 minutes, just did them in and dug a grave early for Mayo. Number 2, they're going to have to play multiple defenses again. They showed that last time, man-to-man zone, drop back. Solheim's just too much of a force for anybody on this Mayo team to stop alone. Really, the guy who's playing the pivot is Restovich. He's young, and defensively, if he has a weakness, it would be his interior defense. Number 3, they've got to get points from Roberts and Doctor. They've got to get some balanced scoring from this lineup because really this is an overachieving team as it is.
And there's the tip controlled by John Marshall, number 55, Troy Brown. Back to Jess Smith. Number 22, guarded there by Mike, check that, by John Doctor. Across now to Troy Brown, back out to Solheim, back to Brown. Woodrich, rather. Inside to Butler, up and off, and Rex Smith with the rebound. Ahead now.
Smith has been rebounding quite well and scoring well in the last few games.
Hebel to Rustovich. He lays it up and in. So 2 points for Rustovich, and the home Spartans rather, take the lead right off the bat, 2-0, after a missed shot by the Rockets. So down low now to Solheim, guarded by Rex Smith. Tries to drive baseline and does. Solheim coming off a 33-point game the other night. Oh, is that Woodrich who scored?
Yeah, Woodrich scored there on a drive down the baseline.
Okay.
And there he is again. That's Rex Smith's game, getting shots on the inside, offensive rebound, and a putback for a point. Or 2 points.
So Woodrich got the first 2 points for the Rockets. Restovich and Smith have the first 4 points for the Mayo Spartans, 2 points each. Jess Smith now with the ball up top.
Notice how Mayo's collapsing on the defense. They're all close to the paint there.
Back outside to Troy Brown, now across to the far side. Drive in, and he's fouled there. Mark Woodrich drove to the hoop, and he's fouled, I believe, by Rex Smith.
And with this collapsing defense of Mayo, it's opening up that baseline for Woodrich. He's had 2 easy drives right down the lane there.
So we thought we'd add the scoreboard down in the lower left corner of your screen for this game. We tried it a couple years ago, and it was very successful for us.
Woodrich has really struggled from the line this year. He's shooting 38% on the year at the free throw line.
So second one on the way, and again off the front, rebound there by John Doctor. Across to Hebel. Hebel brings it across the center line, guarded by Jess Smith. Down now to Michael Restovich. And the ball goes out of bounds, and it'll be Rocket ball. Butler now throws it into Jess Smith. Smith back to Butler. Up to Woodrich. And he's fouled there by number 21, Rich Hebel.
Well, now you see a switch. Here we are only a couple minutes into the game, Jeff, and we've already seen a switch in the Mayo defense. Now they're putting a little full court press on to press the ball coming across the midcourt line.
Jess Smith now, guarded by Doctor. Smith to Woodrich. Inside to Butler. Stripped away. And Doctor comes up with it, passes across to Restovich. Restovich to Smith. Smith looks inside, stolen away there by Woodrich. What a nice move. And the ball tipped away. Let's see who they give it to. It is John Marshall Ball. It was tipped away by Rex Smith and went out of bounds. So 5:26 now remaining in the first quarter. Mayo leads 4-2.
We're seeing a lot of back and forth here, but not a lot of attempts at the goal so far. Coach Jeff Wells mentioned that this is one of the problems early in the game is not getting points on the board in the first quarter.
And a traveling violation on number 55, Troy Brown. That'll turn the ball over to the Mayo Spartans. So Restovich now looks to throw it in. The full court press by the Rockets. And it's now in the game is number 43, Ryan O'Connell. He received the pass from Restovich, and Restovich now with the ball on the other end. Guarded by Solheim. Almost tipped away. Solheim on him as Restovich picked up his dribble in the middle. And a nice block from behind. They call the foul on Solheim.
Nice interior pass there by Restovich. Found the open man cutting across the lane and drew the foul.
Smart ball player for a ninth grader. He knew that when Solheim was on him that he could hit one of his big guys inside and might have a chance for the hoop.
Yeah, I was hoping to see a little isolation. The man-child Restovich against the seasoned senior, but we didn't see it. Maybe we'll see it later in this quarter.
4:59 now. And John Doctor at the line. First one up and off the back iron.
You know, this has been a problem area, Jeff, for this team. Shooting as a team 63% from the free throw line this year.
Overall, that's not too bad, but
you're going to lose a lot of ball games shooting under 65% from the line, though. Those are you got to get in that 65 to 70% range.
So 5-2 is our score as John Doctor hits the second of the two. And now in the game for the check that was Matt Butler, passed across to Jess Smith. Trying to see if they made a change here. They did. Number 34, Ken Carmen, is in the game now for the Rockets.
Well, you got to like the tenacity of this Mayo defense. It's looking good right now. Early in the game, they're all over the ball. They're swarming the ball handler. They look tough so far.
So Smith now drives the paint. Shot up and off. Rebound by Restovich. Back to Hebel. Hebel now brings it ahead. Sets up the offense. A lot of movement by the Spartans. Hebel thinks about going inside, doesn't. Pass to O'Connell, then back to Hebel. Tries to set a pick, but back out to O'Connell. Back to Hebel. Guarded by Jeff Smith. Now he's taking it to the hole. Gets caught up, and he does get it away. O'Connell with the rebound. And Solheim now with the rebound. And ahead to Jeff Smith, wide open. Lays it up and in.
Well, Smith with a breakaway bucket. Nice rebound and pass. Fast break pass there by Solheim.
And 5-4 now is our score. The Mayo Spartans lead with 3:44 remaining here in the first quarter.
Couple offensive rebounds on that last series for Mayo by O'Connell, but he just couldn't get the ball through the hole, and Hebel kind of got it caught up on his hip, didn't he?
Yeah, and it was amazing. He still got it away before he got the traveling.
Yeah, that's what you call shooting from the hip, Jeff.
Oh. So the fouls on number 22, Jeff Smith, his first personal, the team's second.
I apologize to the viewers. I couldn't resist that pun.
Shot up and in by Hebel.
Hebel is 66% free throw shooter on the year.
So Smith now over to, intercepted there by John Doctor. And number 32, Will Kurth, with the pass into the arms of the Mayo player.
Looks like Mayo's got a play they're trying to run here over on the right side.
Traveling.
Yep.
On number 55, Craig Roberts turns the ball over to the Rockets.
Well, so far I've got both teams with 2 turnovers.
So number 20, Scott Larson now in the game for the Rockets. Smith over to Ken Carmen. Carmen now over to Larson. Back to Smith.
Jeff, I hate to say it, but it's deja vu all over again. They're having a hard time getting the ball into Solheim. Notice how they're backing in on him there.
And Ken Carmen shot off the iron and rebounded by the Spartans. And back comes Hebel. Across to John Doctor. Doctor pulls it down. Back to Hebel. Back to Restovich.
Here we go.
Restovich now down low.
The freshman takes the big guy and he scores on the baseline, Jeff. Pretty good move for a 15-year-old against an all-stater, wouldn't you say?
That falling away jump shot.
Oh, lovely, lovely shot.
Separation is a key in that when he's oversized, overmatched by
a lot of confidence there by the young guy.
Much taller player. He's definitely going to grow. Jeff Smith, comes off tip, back to Scott Larson. Over to Solheim. Solheim now with Ryan O'Connell on him, and he hits
the big guy can shoot.
So 9-6 now is the score, as you can see, with 1:49 now remaining here in the first quarter. John Marshall versus Mayo, Big 9 Conference Boys High School Basketball, coming to you from Bob McNish Gym on the beautiful campus of Mayo Senior High School. And there's a shot by Restovich, up and off.
He wanted 3.
And the rebound by number 55, Troy Brown. And I'll tell you what, Solheim gets away with a lot of hand checks there. You can see he puts his left hand on the hip of the other player.
Yeah, he's preparing for big-time ball there, Jeff.
Get that edge any way you can.
You better believe it.
If the ref doesn't call it, just keep doing it.
Yeah.
So 1:31 remaining now. And the Spartans will get the ball as the possession arrow was in their favor on a jump ball call. Number 5, Mark Weisbrod. And the ball goes out of bounds off the Spartans. It'll be JM ball. Ahead now to Scott Larson. Down low to Carmen. Carmen attempted pass inside and it went off O'Connell according to the referee.
Yeah, again, you see the problem. O'Connell's cutting off the passing lane there as they're trying to get in. You've got 3 guys around Solheim every time they look at him.
Well, they know what the key is, basically.
Yeah, 24 points a game. You've got a key on that guy. So far, Mayo doing a great job of it.
So Larson now across to Kurth, back to Troy Brown, now inside.
Now they get it inside.
Shot up and in.
That's the reason right there. You got to stop that guy because once he puts the spin in the lane, you're not going to stop him.
9-8 now. JM has pulled within 1, and they haven't led yet. 50 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Doctor looking for some help, gets it to O'Connell.
Well, JM's showing that they can play that swarming pressing defense too, kind of doubling up the ball, and Mayo has to keep the ball way out on the perimeter. Having trouble penetrating here.
And number 13 in the game for the Spartans now.
Now Smith's got to do something. He's had big games the last 3-4 games. He's got to get back into the action here.
And up and in. Was that O'Connell or Smith?
That was Flaby, it looked like, if I'm not mistaken. Was that 31 to hit that basket?
Guess it could have been. We'll give it to Flaby.
Yeah, and there's an interior pass, and looks like number 32 for John Marshall scores Kurth on an inside spinning bucket.
And off the ceiling, it would not have counted.
A little surprise here in this first quarter. Restovich with a couple assists from the sitting in the corner. Interior passes, 1 to Doctor, 1 to Flaby.
That last bucket by John Marshall.
Yeah, the last bucket looked like Kurth on the inside, spinning. Didn't get a good looking number. Looked like number 32, Will Kurth, scored. 6'5" senior.
So 11-10 our score here at the end of the first quarter. And once again, the Mayo Spartans have done a great job in the early going of containing Brent Solheim. I think is probably the key to the first quarter.
Yeah, you know, the first and third quarters this year have been the tough quarters for JM to score. And again, I think Mayo really excelled in this quarter, don't you, as far as the overall play? Mayo on the season, Jeff, is averaging 64 points a game. They're giving up 58 points. And at this pace, we're looking at a game in the 40